Can you guys believe it's another Monday? I'm Louise from Wildflower Wool, and welcome so much for joining me tonight. This is going to be a fun night. We're going to be here for 45 minutes to an hour just chatting about knitting. So grab your knitting, get yourself comfy, get a warm drink. It's snowy and cold here, so a nice warm drink would be perfect tonight. Daisy's come to join us. She always likes to be part of these Monday nights. We have got the New Start Monday this week to chat about. I have the results of the poll. You guys voted in the Instagram poll. You voted in the feed post and over on Wildflower Wool's Facebook page. This is going to be a fun one. If you have not seen the yarn yet, hold tight because you are going to love it. I have progress. I have a little tiny bit of progress. Not as much as I was hoping, but any progress is progress, especially when it's getting this close to Christmas. Any amount of progress is good in my books. So, okay, Daisy, you got to go for a minute because I have to get the yarn. We'll see if she comes back. Hi, Anne. How are you? All right. I went and did some shopping. I have come to the conclusion that I think my stash is just going to become permanent stash. It is going to be there for decoration only because I cannot stop buying yarn and I keep buying new stuff to knit with. So anyways, so I saw Nancy was coming in and I saw, oh, Amber. Anyway, I'm looking around because I'm trying to protect my drink. Daisy's jumped up here and she's going to want to drink out of this is water. I have these really fun mugs and all they ever have in them is water. And she likes to drink out of them if I'm not careful. And I don't know. I love Daisy and all, but I do not want to share my drinks with her. So anyways, this is it, you guys. Look at all these minis. So let me tell you a little short story. Hi, Catherine. Oh, Daisy's, see? Come on, you go away. Okay, so Little Red Mitten, one of my local yarn shops. We're pretty lucky here in London. We have got London Yarns, which is in the city. Knit Stitch, I have heard rumors. She has plans to open back up again. So we will have her as well for some shopping. And then Little Red Mitten is just a short drive out of the city. And they have a fantastic selection of yarns. So Little Red Mitten this past weekend, they had a trunk show from the wonderful ladies from Full Moon Fiber Arts, Full Moon Fibers. There they are. And they are somewhat local, like it's in a few hours away from us. So it was really nice to get to meet them and look at all their beautiful yarn. I am becoming a mini person, you guys. I have never really been one, I don't know, to jump on the whole bandwagon around minis. But I took a look at these and I fell in love with these. Hi, Sandra. Welcome. I have to say, I picked these two thinking I would do maybe a Christmas ornament with them because the Fiber Friends Challenge for December is a Christmas ornament. But I don't know. It might go in this project, and I almost gave it away. I almost said it, but I caught myself because I'm going to drag out the suspense for just a little bit longer. The voting today was what project it was, if it was going to be a cowl or if it was going to be mittens. Sometimes, for those of you who are new here, on Wildflower Wool's Instagram page, I put up a poll every Monday. There was a poll. Sometimes we're debating between which yarns, and you guys can vote on what I will cast on. Sometimes it's a project, sometimes it's a technique, and today it was a project because I knew I want to cast on these tonight. Okay, maybe I should just put them down or hold them still. I don't know. Do something. I'm going to drop them all here shortly. Do you guys want to know? Let's go through the color names. So it was not a very close vote. There was vote. Both projects got votes, but it was pretty one-sided. So look at this one. Out and About. Look at that. I like it because it's got a little bit of yellow. It's got the greens, just a little bit of Well, it's got brown, maybe just a little hint of a bit of a red shade in there. This one here is also pretty similar. This one's Treed Up Land. And that's really nice. Shades of green in there. Again, just a little bit. Oh, there's some red. And I am not a red person. I think it's just because it's Christmas. Christmas is the only time that I really like red. But I am embracing, I like burgundies, I like cranberries. Oh my gosh, now this is my color. Isn't that brass? Isn't that beautiful? Oh, this is gonna be gorgeous. Pumpkin spice. Like, look at the colors. Yeah, now I'm starting to think maybe I could just knit from minis forever and ever and ever. Look at that shades of green, just kind of a tonal. It is called Spruce It Up. Isn't that pretty? That looks exactly like a spruce tree, doesn't it? Just looks like a Christmas tree. Why did I get pink? Well, I don't know. You mean this one, Amber? This is Red Sky at Night. And I really got it thinking I would put the two together for a Christmas ornament, but it may end up in this project. So anyways, I got sidetracked. Red Sky at Night. And it's pretty, isn't it? I do actually like this. Maybe I'm opening up. I'm becoming more of a red and pink. Well, we all know what happened to the whole tail of my pink socks, so I'm not going to go there again. But I do like pink when it has some orange in it, and I like pink and orange, and I like pink and yellow together. And see, and this has got a little bit of gold in there. This is, did I say Let It Glow? Isn't that pretty? And then this one, Monstera, a different shade of green. Very pretty. So, without further ado, everybody who voted for Mittens is going to be disappointed because this is going to turn into a cowl. So Cowl voters, you guys were all in alignment today. A lot of people were voting Cowl. Cowl. Oh my goodness, that is like a tongue twister between cowl and cowl. So Cowl. A lot of people were saying all these colors are just so pretty. It's too pretty to be mitts. And I don't know if that people were thinking because mitts are on your hand and you're grabbing everything and mitts are going to get dirty and they can get worn out, like you could wear a hole through the thumb, as opposed to a cowl that is just going to sit here and be pretty and not get too dirty. Maybe that's it. But a cowl it will be. So now I just have to figure out exactly what colors are going to go where. So that's going to be fun. After we're done chatting tonight, you can just picture me getting comfy in my living room with the Christmas movie on and winding up one of these skeins. I really don't even know which one I will start with. I don't know. Maybe this one? Maybe this. Let's do that one. So, okay. I picked Out and About. Let's start with that. I will set it aside right now. I have some other exciting things to show you. Well, I have one thing I'm really excited to show you and one I'm a little embarrassed about, but oh well, we'll get to that. We'll go with the exciting part first. Look at that. My Thrummed Mitten. Last week, you guys voted for Thrummed Mittens because it was between two sets of yarn. It was this really nice, woolly, warm, rustic-y yarn. I think this is the Philosopher's wool. If you guys aren't familiar with Philosophers, I don't think it's available any longer unless somebody's destashing. Ooh, where will I set this? But it is very much like a Briggs & Little. And honestly, if you had two skeins that were wound up without ball bands, by feeling them, you would not know the difference. This feels exactly like a Briggs & Little. So it's 100% wool, very nice and warm and cozy. This was the one choice for last week, and the other ones I had pulled out 3 balls out of my stash to do Fair Isle. So the choice last week was Thrummed Mitten or Fair Isle Mittens, because Mittens, I knew it was going to be Mittens because the Fiber Friends, November is Mitten Month over at the Fiber Friends. So you guys picked Thrummed, and look how much I have done. So I'm pretty proud of this. I was really hoping I'd have a mitten done, but I'm close. Look at this. This is going to be so warm. I almost thought I was going to need them today. They had all these predictions for tons of snow, inches of snow, but we missed most of it. It snowed a little bit and then it quit, and it didn't end up being. Probably places north of us maybe got it a little worse than we did. Anyways, this is like a tangled mess. So I'm knitting on DPNs here, and they are a little bit longer than I would like. I don't know if these are 8-inch needles. 6s would probably be a little bit better because this looks like a weapon. Could poke somebody with these. And I could only actually find 4 needles that matched, and I had to find this old needle. I mean, old, I don't know. Anyways, it works. They all work. So this is a good example of using what you have. And I am almost ready to work the decreases. I think I will do, well, I want to go to the top of my pinky finger. So I think I've got 2 more rounds, 2 more plain rounds, and then I'll do a thrummed round somewhere in there. And then I will be ready to start decreases. But you know what, I have to say, I shouldn't say this out loud because I'm going to totally jinx myself, but I'm pretty happy with how consistent my thrums are. I was a little worried that I would have started out making them bigger and then I was making them smaller as I went along. But really, I think, well, I mean, what are you going to do? There's maybe a little one and a big one, but overall, I think it looks pretty good. And it's nice and warm. And there's the inside. So we didn't get to talking about how you make thrums. So I'll do one right now for anybody who hasn't made them before. It's really quite easy. So my kit came with this fleece. It didn't come as a roving. It just came. Oh, is that? Oh, hello. I'm not sure who that is. I don't think it was. I was going to say Alyssa, but I don't think it was Alyssa. Anyways, welcome to people that are just popping in here. So this is a little finicky. I would think, well, I don't know. This works fine, but it would be a lot easier if this had come in a nice roving, because I do have a whole pile of fluff. Actually, it's sitting right here. Hold on. Let me go grab it. That I don't know what I'm going to do with. So these are kind of my leftover bits that I'm hoping, I don't know, maybe I will end up carding it together, or maybe some of it is kind of just sticking to itself. So these were my little bits as I was making my thrums. So I've just been kind of keeping them. And I will, I don't know, worry about that when I get to mitten number 2. But so what I'm doing right now is just kind of, so this is actually one big piece. What I'd been working with before, there was a lot of small pieces, like something like this. And then just trying to pull them apart. This is good Christmas movie watching. I did a poll yesterday in my Instagram stories asking if people were watching Christmas movies. And I am terribly shocked with you guys because I don't know what it was. Almost 3/4 of the people that answered were not watching Christmas movies yet. And I was definitely in the minority there. I've been happily watching Christmas movies this past weekend. So this is what I did for at least a good one movie or maybe more. I just sat and I made thrums. So I'm just pulling these apart and I am making mine really thin. I was worried that they would be too thin, but they actually, when they're worked up into the mitt, they don't look too thin at all. Oh, was that Barb saying you've been watching Christmas movies? Hi, Sherry. Extra scraggly fluff to stuff your Xmas ornaments. You are right. I'm just worried that I don't want to run out of fleece to do my thrums for mitten number 2. In an ideal world, I knew I should do this, but I did not. I should have taken, well, it says it was about 2 ounces. I should have probably put it on my scale and weighed it, and then initially divided it for mitten number 1, mitten number 2. Just so I would kind of know as I was working through the fleece for mitten number 1 that I was getting enough. I'm guessing it's going to take about 160 thrums per mitt. I'm doing 16 per round, so we'll see. I wasn't panicking too much about it because I've got lots more fleece upstairs. And I was thinking, well, it maybe wouldn't totally match because it's not going to be the same color, but I don't know. I'm not going to worry about that. I can wing it if I have to. So I've got something like this. This is going to make, this one's going to be pretty thick, but we'll try it. So I've just been using my fingers, my 4 fingers as my measurement. So can I do this? So I'm holding it, just holding it here, wrapping it around 4 fingers till it just overlaps, and then just pulling off this little bit. So all that big ball of fluff is all these kind of, if I can't stretch this out long enough to go around my fingers, then it goes into that ball. Might be able to do another one out of that. Let's try that in a second. So this is what I've got. This went around my fingers like that. Where it overlaps, right here, I just bring it down so I make like a bow. And then I just felt it. Just rub it, roll it back and forth between your fingers, just so that center part felts. Then the idea is it's supposed to be the same thickness as your yarn. I can never get it that same thickness. Mine always ends up being a little thicker, but just like that. And then I just put them in my bowl. Oh, Susanna's talking about patterns, using Patton's Croy. That would be fun. Hi, Diane. So anyway, so there's my thrum, and that's all there is to it. And then when you're working your mitten, you just, okay, we'll, looking for my extra needle. We'll just pretend. So if I was working across my row here, and these ones are all stacking on top of one another, which is kind of nice because then you don't have to kind of count or really eyeball it to get them offsetting. So I can just count, I'm doing knitting 2 stitches, and then the 3rd stitch I'm putting a thrum in, and you can just do a quick look down and make sure that it's lining up. So far, I have not messed it up. I've not tried to put a thrum in the wrong spot, which now I'm probably just totally jinxed myself, and I will probably do that. I've gotten through a whole mitten without having to fix anything up. But what I have been doing with this mitten is I have been doing kind of a 2-row thrummed technique. There's 2 options. You can either put your thrums in all on 1 row and lock them in on the one row, or you can do it over 2 rows. And I've been doing it over 2 rows. So if this was the next spot where I wanted my thrum, you put your knitting needle into that stitch, and then you're just going to drape this over the needle. So that part where you felted, you just want that to sit on top of your knitting needle. Just kind of hold it there, pick up your working yarn, wrap it around the needle, and then you just pull everything through, your working yarn and the thrum, and that's what you've got on your needle. You've got both of them there. And then you work your way all the way around the round. On your second round, when you come back to the stitch where the thrum and the stitch are, you work that together, but you work it through the back of the loop, and you just knit through the back of the loop. And then that helps lock it in. So when you guys all know, when you knit through the back of the loop, it twists your stitch. So that's just closing that bottom of the V stitch closed, and presumably it will just tighten it up and it will help hold that thrum in place. So I'm going to work, that's how I've always done the Thrummed Mittens. I haven't made Thrummed Mittens in years. So this is really fun to revisit it. And that's how I've always done it, is doing the 2 round. The other way you can do it is it's like knitting it in the row below, and then you're pulling up the thrum, then you're knitting into this next stitch again, and then you're passing the thrum over. So it's a little fiddlier, but you're doing it all in one go, and then your next round you can just knit. So I'm going to try that and see which way. It's kind of like pick your fiddly, right? Do you want to have your first go kind of fairly easy, just knitting the thrum in and then going through the back loop on the second round, or just do a little down below and then pass it over kind of thing? I'm kind of thinking I might like the one pass version better. So we'll see. I'm going to try that on mitten too. You know, this will actually work. So this was that little bit that I pulled off, the first thrum that I made, and then I just stretched it out. And I've been stretching them, some of them really thin, but they don't look thin when you put them in the mitten. And this wraps around my fingers, and it just overlaps. And then I will pull both sides together and then make a little thrum. Now I found I could not do all of the fleece. Some people suggest, you know, you should sit down, you should just sit and do all of your thrums for your mitten all at once. I couldn't do it. My fingers were starting to get sore. So I did a lot. I filled a bowl, and I probably did enough for 3/4 of the mitt. I think I'll probably have to make a few more to finish off, but that was it. There was no way I could have done the whole thing for 2 mitts. It was just, I just found it was just my fingers were getting sore. And so that was that. There's another one done. Thrummed mitts. Pretty easy, super warm. I think they would make a great Christmas gift. And as somebody pointed out to me, there's like 180 patterns on Ravelry for Thrummed Mittens, and there was a good amount that were free and there was some that were paid for. So because I had searched it at one time, I think it was while Cheryl and I were recording the Fiber Friends podcast, I searched, and I don't know what I did, if I had my settings set wrong, if I typed thrummed wrong, I don't know. One pattern came up, and I thought, that cannot possibly be. One pattern for something on Ravelry? Impossible. Anyways, so that was my Thrummed Mittens. They are going really well. I'm knitting them with a really small needle. I'm using a 3.75 millimeter. The pattern calls for a 4, but I knit loose, so I always go down a needle size. I usually knit my worsted weight mitts on a 3.5 because I want my mitts to be nice and tight. I want a tight gauge, because nobody wants to wear mittens and have the wind blow through them, right? So I knit them as tight as I can, so I get them really warm. I thought I would go up a little bit bigger size, because with the thrums, you know, you might need a little bit more wiggle room there, kind of like when you do color work, you typically go up a needle size because your floats kind of pull everything together. And the 3.75 is working out nice. I keep putting the mitt on. I would probably have the mitt finished by now if I would stop trying it on. I just have to admire my work. I'm like, I knit around. Sometimes I don't even get a whole round. I get half a round done and I have to admire it. And which maybe is not a bad thing, because then maybe that's why I haven't made a mistake, because I can visually see that my thrums are lining up and that they're the same size. Because sometimes I thought, okay, it's not a bad idea to take a look. And if your thrum doesn't match, you could take it out. So maybe all of my admiring has really helped me prevent making mistakes, but is definitely slowing my knitting down. That is for sure. Anyways, Christmas socks. So Wildflower Wool, we are doing a Christmas sock knit along. We started it a little over a week ago, and we are going till Saturday, December the 4th. So there's still time. You can go find yourself some pretty sock yarn, dig through your stash, see what you have for sock yarn. It can be red, it can be green, it can be white, it can be blue. I mean, there's no, don't worry if it's not official sock yarn. There's no sock police around. As long as you think it looks like Christmassy sock yarn, cast on. It can be whips, of course. We are all about getting things finished, and I have way more whips than I do. I cannot believe I just said whip. Work in progress than I do finishes. So if you have a Christmas sock sitting around that you started last year, and this is the perfect time, my whole thinking is November sock month, we can get a pair of socks knit. So come December 1st, we can all put on a brand new pair of Christmas socks to start the month of December. So we're going to have, there will be some prizes. There's going to be some yarn up for one of the prizes. I know that for sure. So what we can do is on Instagram, just post some pictures. We'll do all of our chit-chatting on Instagram, and you can use the hashtag WWChristmasSock2021, because I'm already planning that we're going to do this every year, right? Because it's just so much fun that every year we'll just update the year. And then that way, if you use the hashtag, I will see it and then I will share it so everybody can get to see all of our fun Christmas socks. So I talked about that I was going to do the magic heel on this sock. I got as far as purchasing the pattern. It was only $3. So it is a great affordable pattern to get. So then you've got the heel construction in there. And this is how far I've gotten. I did not knit on this all weekend. I was working on my Thrummed Mitten. So this is going to be definitely a couple of rounds have to go in this tonight while I'm watching a Christmas movie, because I need to get a pair of socks done. This is my own knit along. I would actually like to finish. So I'm really, really hopeful that that is going to happen. And there's still lots of time left. I am not in panic mode, not even close to panic mode. So this is the yarn. Cascade Yarns Heritage Print. So look at that. Isn't that pretty? It kind of reminds me of peppermint. And I'm really loving how all the patterns are coming up on here. I really like it. I'm happy. So mittens, socks. The other project that I got a little bit of a start on this week is Eric's blanket. And I can say it is started. Just barely. Well, I'm going to call it a start. I'm casting on. I don't even have all my stitches on. I'm going to put on 100 stitches. So here we are. This is the navy. It was last Monday that I pulled this. We were calling it a yarn banana, weren't we? and I separated the colors. I cut it because it was it was knotted, but it pulled apart, which is again another good reason to not knit your knits. Not knit your knots. Oh my gosh, that is a tongue twister. Don't knit your knots, because with just a little wiggling, I was trying to untie the knot, and I really didn't even have to pull it. I just gave it a good little tug, and it came apart. So this was the whole reason that I went to Little Red Mitten, was so I could get needle tips. I wanted a 7mm. You guys this is probably way too small. You probably can't see that, but it is a 7mm Knitter's Pride, and I could not find a fixed needle anywhere, which was fine. Well, no, let me say that again. I found a 7mm fixed needle, but the cord was only 24, 32 inches. It wasn't as long as what I wanted. So I had this big long cord in my needle case, but I did not have a 7mm tip. My sets went from 6.5 to an 8. I tried a gauge swatch with an 8 and it was just too loose. So Little Red Mitten to my rescue. Oh wait, I'm wrong. I'm farther ahead than I thought, you guys. So anyways, Little Red Mitten to my rescue. They had one set of 7mm tips in stock, and I grabbed them when I went down there. So people must be knitting some bulky knits because they were out of 7mm. So look, I am cast on, and I'm working on my first row. My first row is almost done. Look at that. Success. I'm farther ahead than I thought. I am just going to stripe this blanket. Nothing fancy. I briefly thought this afternoon about doing some chevrons in it, but don't think so. I think part of me just wants to keep making this fancier than it probably needs to be. It's for my son. I don't think he's going to appreciate, I think he's just going to like the coziness and the fact that it's blue, and plus time is ticking. So I think something that I don't have to count stitches, I don't have to worry about the pattern. I think I'm just going to do a garter stitch band across the bottom and a nice wide garter stitch band, well, basic garter stitch all the way around, nice and big. I'm thinking maybe at least 10 stitches. Let's see what 10 stitches looks like. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh no, more than that. That's 10, maybe 12. I have this in my mind, just something really nice. Okay, that wide. Is Eva here tonight? Hi, Eva. Yeah, maybe 12 stitches. 14. 12 or 14, I think. Want something kind of chunky, top and bottom, and then I'm going to do garter stitch in the center. I thought about just doing all garter, but I'm really afraid that it will stretch too much because garter's so stretchy. So I think I'm going to do stockinette in the center and then just color block it. So this ball here is really going to be my test to see how far this goes. Then I will be able to see how many inches this is going to do me. I'm hoping, let's look at the yarn. I'm hoping that these yarn bananas have the same amount of yarn in each color. Each color is the same yardage, right? So fingers crossed. Okay, let's try to pull this one apart. This was kind of fun actually last last week. Where's my color? This is, so if you didn't see this, start at the beginning. Hold on. Let's go. So this is what it looks like in the store. Have you guys seen this in Michael's? I haven't seen it anyplace else. I don't know if Lens Mills has it. Does anybody like Hobby Lobby or Joann's, do they have it? Go, go, go. I know, right? Oh, go. Quick start. But I don't know if it's a quick start or not. But there you go. So then you just pop off the cardboard. And this is what you're left, this is what you have. And then there's a little plastic kind of tie in here. Why? Okay, this one's just trying to get the yarn moved out of the way. Hi, Cindy. Oh, I saw you went to Little Red Mitten. So this is what's holding it together. So you snip this and then it just falls open, which then it looks like this. And so I just started knitting with this. So it has kind of the aqua color, the light blue, and it had the navy. So I just had this all as one piece and just started knitting from it. I say it just unwinds like that. But I thought, okay, this was kind of an awkward thing because you can't just go to knit night or stick this in your purse, right? So then, now a couple people had said Marley Bird has videos on this because that's what I said. I thought, okay, surely there's like a YouTube video I should have seen about this, but it does just pull out. So see how this brighter blue is wrapped underneath this, but you can wiggle them. Look, okay, it's starting to come apart now. This is actually kind of fun. Just like that. And then they separate. So somewhere here, we'll see there. So let's see how well this one's knotted. Like have these yarn cones. And look, I don't know. I would just love to hear the story of how this was developed. Like who would have thought about this? Oh, this one here looks like it's maybe tied a little tighter than the other one, but still, I don't know. I just never trust knots. Has anybody had a bad experience with knitting a knot and then it comes undone? I remember teaching and knitting a sock class once and telling students like don't knit the knots and take a couple minutes, cut the knot out. If you have to backtrack to the beginning of your row, do it, rejoin and knit on. And of course everybody's like okay, yeah. And one lady came back the following week and she's like, oh, she said she's like, she said, I knit a pair of socks. Oh, see, look at that. That came apart pretty easy. And she had knit a knot into her socks and she threw them in the wash and washed them and the knot came undone and she had a hole. So I'm like, oh, I know. Anyways, that's my little rant on knots. So look at, this is kind of fun. Okay, so I saw some people say that this is supposed to be so it doesn't tangle. But how do you come up with the whole idea of this? Oh yes, Diane say to avoid yarn barf. That is true. But like, how do you get the whole idea of wrapping it in this shape? And then, I don't know, maybe I just don't have one of those creative minds to think up odd things like this. But Lynn, hello, how are you? Anyways, it just blows my mind that somebody came up with this. So we'll see how long it actually sticks around and if anybody else decides to wrap their yarn like this. I'm guessing no, but we'll see. So anyways, my blanket is officially started with only, what, 40 days till Christmas or something crazy. This could be a gift with needles in it, potentially. But there again, I'm still not going to panic. I think maybe I will have time. I'm hoping this is going to be a quick knit. We will see. So that is what I have worked on this week. I'm actually pretty happy. My mitten's coming along great and it fits. I'm feeling a huge ton of relief that I actually have this blanket cast on. So what is everybody else knitting on these days? Is anybody else starting anything brand new this week? Anybody have a Christmas gift that they are casting on? Is everybody's Christmas knitting going well? So I'm going to kind of take a peek here at some of the comments that you guys have been chatting amongst yourself as I've been chatting, which is wonderful. So Cindy, you bought 6 hanks of yarn in a small, J. Henry bag. So, okay, so you were at Little Red Mitten then, were you? You went the week before and bought some yarn and a whole set of, Chowgu needles. Was treat yourself day. Well, you know what? We need that every once in a while, don't we? Oh, okay, there's Sonia. So Sonia and Susanna, you guys are both. And, Sonia, Lynn, everybody's in Calgary tonight. Barb, you cut knots out. You never knot your knitting or crochet. No. Guys, I'm so happy to hear that. Little things like that make me happy. Well, okay, so Lynn, did I say hi to you, Lynn? Okay, Susanna, you have a pattern. Okay. Anyways, Mikey from the crochet crowd shows how also. Okay. I probably should have checked out a video, but you know, it's like reading the instructions before you do something, right? Who does that? You only do that when you run into a problem, right? So Eva, what is it that, okay, so Eva, are you working on test knits? You really want the sweater and the shawl. Oh, you would have frogged it all. Well, it was faster. Uh-oh. So you did frog something, Eva? Okay, so, okay. Anyways, so, okay, yes, I got back. This was what I was looking for because I saw Cindy said she had went to Little Red Mitten on Saturday and bought some yarn. Oh, it was your first trunk show and you were excited. They had a lot of yarn. So Full Moon Fibers, they had a lot of yarn there. And I was there, when was I there? Saturday around lunchtime, 1 o'clock maybe. And I was worried. I thought, I wonder how much they will have left because they also were open Friday night. They probably did a knit night and a trunk show, which would have been a lot of fun. But I couldn't go Friday night because I was live in the Fiber Friends Facebook group, which was fine because there was a lot of gorgeous yarn when I got there Saturday. And any more yarn, I get too overwhelmed and I have too hard of a time making a decision. I had a hard time picking out all of these minis as it was. So, I should maybe show them for some people who have, come in part way. Let me show you all the minis. Did you guys see these in the Instagram post? Cindy, were you there when I was there? Cindy, why didn't you say something? You could have helped me pick out my minis. I was probably in deep thought trying to decide which colors did I want. Do I want this? I was thinking I was only going to get 5 and I came home with 8 because I couldn't decide. I always have these bouts of thinking, I should be a responsible yarn shopper and just get what I need and not just feed my stash. And then that's just like the most ridiculous thing ever, right? Because I can't do that. but well, I was going to say, I only came home with this, but that's not true. I came home with 3 balls of Holst yarn as well, in a red, green, and yellow for some Christmas knitting, for some Christmas ornament knitting in December for the Fiber Friends Ornament Challenge. So this was what I came home with, and it is going to be a cowl. Everybody, not everybody, a good portion of everybody voted for a cowl over mittens. So stay tuned for pictures on Instagram, and you'll see what this turns into. Hi, Joanne. My stash doesn't need any feeding. It doesn't. It doesn't. It needs to go on a diet, but that's never going to happen. I just figure I'm helping the economy, you know, I don't know, however I want to justify it, right? So what is everybody saying here in the comments? And then we'll chat for another 10 minutes or so, and then we will wrap up. Amber, oh, you really like the yarn bowls. Yes, I saw you got a yarn bowl. They had a good selection of them there, didn't they? They're fabric yarn bowls. So it's basically like a knitting, like a project bag, but just a little different to be called a yarn bowl. It's a really great idea. Lynn, you knit cowls for your family for Christmas. Oh, you are knitting them and doing the Douglas Curdy by Andrea Mowry for yourself. Yay. Oh, and I did say hello. Good. Sonia. Oh, so Sonia and Susanna, are you guys anywhere close? Like you could actually meet up in person, go for coffee and sit and knit? Oh, and Barb, you're in Pembroke. So wouldn't that be fun if you guys could actually, oh yes, so Pembroke, Ontario. Okay, so is that funny? Barb, I didn't know you were in Pembroke, Ontario. Barb, for some reason, I thought you were out west. So you're closer to me than you are, well, way closer to me than you were, Susanna. Oh, Suzanne, there is a neighborhood. Oh, but she's not. Wrong province. So Diane, are you doing Christmas knitting or are you casting on something new? Amber, you did mittens? Oh, you voted mittens? Yes, you did. I think that the minis would knit up nice in, did I say that right? The minis would knit up nice in mittens. But a cowl was actually what I was thinking of when I was sorting through the minis. Okay, so let's see. Lynn said, okay, so does that mean you guys can get together? Oh, Amber, you're working on your Christmas socks. So I saw pictures that Amber cast on not 1, but 2 pairs of Christmas socks. And Amber, for you guys who don't know, Amber is a very, very speedy knitter. So she will get 2 pairs done in the time it takes me to knit 1. I can almost guarantee that. But we'll see. Oh, Diane, they will be, oh, there will be new. Okay, oh, so you're still on Stephen West. What clue are you on? And then there's going to be a new cast on. What's the new cast on going to be, Diane? Mittens, socks? I don't advise doing a blanket right now. Do as I say, not as I do. That's my motto some days. Okay, let's see. Amber said, I did up my arm. Oh. You're having trouble with your arm, Amber? Oh, that's not good. Well, then I hope the knitting doesn't aggravate it. Uh-oh. I'm glad I'm almost at the end of my row here. Then I'll be able to separate my my needles because I've got my yarn is all tangled up around this long cord. So you know, I figured out for my blanket, I had done a gauge swatch. I don't know, my gauge swatch was maybe, I don't know if it was 12 or 14 stitches. And I started out playing around doing double seed stitch because I had in my mind that I thought this nice chunky yarn with a chunky seed stitch would look good. Almost like a bobbled kind of look, you know, with the knits and pearls. Not really bobble, but I don't know, just the texture. And I very quickly realized doing my gauge swatch that doing a double seed stitch would not be a quick knit, because I would always have to be paying attention to what row I was, like which side I was on, and if I was doing a side where I was knitting what I saw, and then which which side I was on where I would switch. And so if I saw knits, I would have to switch and do pearls. And I thought, I'm going to mess that up at some point, right? I'm going to think I'm on row 2 of the pattern, and I'm going to start row 3, and then I'm going to have to unknit. And I thought, that's not going to be quick. It's not going to be quick, and too high of a probability that I would muck it up. So I scrapped that, and I thought, no, this needs something simpler. And the seed stitch was too stretchy and it was too loose, even on my 7mm needle. The 8 was definitely way too stretchy. And on a 7, it was still kind of like, do I like it? Do I not? And I was kind of humming and hawing, really trying to convince myself that I liked the gauge, even though there was that tiny little feeling that was like, I don't think it's tight enough. So then I did a few rows of garter stitch, and the garter was so much snugger on it. And I thought, I really like that better. So I was really glad that I did that, because then I definitely had something to compare the stitch pattern to. And then I decided I was just not going to bother doing it at all. So then that's how I just got, I'll just do stockinette. So I did a few rows of that on there. I liked it with the 7mm, the tension. And then I just took my gauge swatch, which was about this many stitches, and I just measured across the top of a double bed. And I thought, okay, this is how wide I want it to be. I measured my gauge swatch, and I thought, okay, I need 8 of these gauge swatches, and plus 4 stitches is what I thought. And I thought that will give me the width I wanted. And sure enough, as I was multiplying out my stitches, it came to 96. Plus that extra 4 that I thought I would need, it gave me an even 100. And I thought, oh, I like that. I don't know, because I was thinking of putting on 100. I thought 100 stitches, maybe a little more, and it worked out perfectly to 100. And I thought that was a sign that I had my stitch count right. So we will see how it goes. But now let me tell you, there's something, this is why I love to do these New Start Mondays, because once I have it started, this is what I always find is the most time consuming of all for doing these projects: finding the needle, deciding on the pattern, getting a gauge, like a fabric that you like the feel of, and just figuring out the number of stitches you need to cast on. Just that whole little bit right there has taken me over a week or more to get that figured out. But now that I do, here it is. And I can just pick it up now, and I can just work a couple of rows on it and set it down. I can pick it up whenever I want. Now I feel all of the hard fiddly bits are done, and now I can just carry on and I can just have fun knitting it. So that's why I have to start something every Monday, so I can get it started, and then I can just work on it whenever I want to. Anyways, that's my explanation anyways for why I have so many new starts. So let's see, next week, I don't know, we'll see how far I am. I have my first full row done on here. I think it's going to be pretty quick, because I mean, really, that's already, I mean, the stitches are pretty tall on here, so it's going to go pretty quick. And my Christmas sock, and finish a mitt, and a cowl. So we'll come back and when I'll give you updates on everything that I'm knitting. So if you start something new this week, use the hashtag New Start Monday Knits so that I can see what you're working on. And if you're doing socks, if you're going to start socks, if you're working on socks, post an in progress picture on Instagram with the hashtag WWChristmasSocks2021. And because I'd love to see your progress, and everybody else is going to want to see your progress too. When you get your socks finished, pop them in the Ravelry thread, Wildflower Wool's Ravelry thread, because that's where the prizes will be drawn from. So don't forget to do that. If you do not use Ravelry, send me a message on Instagram, tag me at Wildflower Wool, and post a picture of your socks, and then I will add you in. And then make sure that I always comment back and say, you know, you're in Ravelry, just to make sure, because the odd time I can miss a message. So just make sure I answer you back. And then you know that you're in for the prizes. Well, everybody, this has been a lovely hour chatting. It's always fun to start my Mondays off this way. I love seeing you guys vote in the poll and trying to pre-guess what everybody is going to vote for. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good way to start Monday off with a new project, new yarn, new cast on, something new to look forward to. So everybody, hopefully you guys have a great week. You get something finished, make good progress, have lots of knitting time. You're doing well with all of your Christmas knits and nobody is stressing at all about this big Christmas deadline that is coming day by day, sooner, all the time. But hopefully you've had a good hour now to sit and knit and get some good progress done on whatever you're working on. So post some pictures, tag me, and thank you so much for visiting with me tonight. And I will see you guys all next Monday. Have a great week, everybody. Happy knitting. See you next Monday.